Hello Gorillas, welcome to this 4-part video training series about product inspections in China. Video number 4 today, we're going to teach you what you should expect when you get your product inspection report back from China. Our goal is to help you avoid the biggest problems that new sellers have when starting their Amazon business. And we want to get you making money as quickly as possible. So let's get this video training started right now. I'm Rob Fortney from the Gorillaz Tribe, and I'm super excited to help you navigate through the Amazon seller's jungle. If you want your Amazon business to take off like a rocket ship, then you found the right channel. If this is your first time visiting us, a great big welcome from the Gorillaz Tribe. If you're returning, it's great to see your smiling face again. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, subscribe right now. There's also a little bell right there, and if you click that little bell, we're going to tell you each and every time we release new training videos. If you're interested in more free training, go ahead and head over to our website at gorillazonline.com. That's Gorillaz with a Z, online.com. You can also download our brand new free course on how to find a winning product on Amazon. It's time to get this training started right now, so let's head on over to the virtual classroom where our head trainer, Paul Adams, is going to teach you everything you need to know.
So the next section we're going to be looking at is what to expect in your inspection report. Now, I've just used some inspection reports that I've got handy, so I've got thousands of them here, so there's plenty of information to go through. So we're going to be looking again at our final random inspection. So let me just remind us what the final random inspection, or the short term for this, is FRI, final random inspection. It takes place at the end of production. The whole shipment quantity should be finished, in other words, 100%. And around 80% of those packed, okay? It says here, most clients accept up to 20% of the cartons not to be fully closed when the inspection starts, okay? So in other words, like some are not fully closed, not fully down, but it's still packed, but just not sealed up. That's so that the total quantity of products can be counted. Okay, so we've ordered 8,000 items. We need to make sure that 8,000 items are there and present for the inspection. If these conditions are respected, the inspector can count what is presented, and the factory cannot hide the number of defect goods in the back room. Again, this is something that playing games, I'm not saying that we're going to be pointing any fingers, but it has happened in the past. Okay, it has happened. Okay, so we make sure that we've got the full order quantity available at the time of inspection. What is checked? Well, at a high level, an inspection can be broken down into 3 parts. It conforms to specification. In other words, the specification that we're putting forward, make sure it's stainless steel, heavy, metal, not plastic, and blue. Number of visual defects compared to the industry standard. In other words, this is a specification or statistically proven data that's going against. And on-site tests, making sure that the product functions, not just looks good. So we'll look to see what else we've got in there. So what is checked during a final random inspection? And again, these 3 types of issues can trigger the failure of an inspection or a potential refusal, in other words, by us on the supplier. Conforms to specification. All the relevant aspects of the product are controlled. In other words, we're looking at the quantity, the components themselves, the assembly, the aesthetics, function, size, label, packaging, etc., etc. So it's the full detail of our specification has to be correct, and that's what we'll be checking. Ideally, the buyer has got this all documented down in our specification, and that's what the inspector will be using on top of their standard inspection procedures. Okay, so if we're looking at something special with respect to our garlic press, we need to make sure that we are stipulating that in our specification so the inspector knows about it. Number of visual defects. Based upon a sampling plan, the inspector selects the predetermined or predefined number of products at random. They will then check them one by one and counts the number of defects which are compared to the AQL, acceptable quality level. I'm not going to go into details. That's going to be another 2-hour session itself. Okay. But basically, that is where the statistical numbers come from. All right. So if we're looking at a low quantity, it could be like 3 only. That's it. Anything past 3, the whole lot can be failed. On-site test, determining what the product type is, or depending on what the inspector's job is. For example, right, a drop test of 3 samples from 80 centimeters, so that's just under the 1 meter mark, onto a concrete floor. If at least one sample breaks or does not function after it has been dropped, the whole lot can be failed. The whole lot. Okay? Statistically driven. So this is how Soffies completes the inspection. They send in an inspector with an experience on checking that particular product line. So if it's kitchen products, they'll send in someone that's like au fait with kitchen products, okay, in that category. They will then check the following in details, right? They'll have a summary of results, okay? They will give us a production status. They will have a look at the export packaging. They'll have a look at the inner packaging. They will have a look at the product and the unit packaging. So we've got 3 levels of packaging going on here. The number of defects versus that acceptable quality level. They will look at all of the samples and additional photographs. You'll be able to see some of these as we move forward. Okay, so what does it look like? On average, you'll receive about 15 pages, sometimes more. I've got some sample reports here that go over to 30, 40 pages, depending on what the product is and how detailed the inspector needs to go into it. But it'll basically divide up into 8 sections. It's going to have the results page and summary. Now we're talking about the overall business itself, okay, and a quick overview of the findings of each of the sections that have been inspected. Production status, were all of the items completed or not? Export packaging, it's going to be checking the export packaging. It's basically going to give us a summary of that. The inner packaging, checkpoints that cover all of the different packaging elements for the individual products. Can you imagine if we've got our stainless steel garlic press? I don't want that to be scratched, therefore I want some sort of packaging to go with that. Okay, and then once that goes into the export packaging, I want that protected as well somehow. Okay. Product checklist. This is where we've got our specifics as well as the standard inspection items that most of the inspection companies will be looking at anyway. So these specific checkpoints in this section, we'll look at the product and how well it has been produced, as well as how it complies with various different standards, such as abuse test. Yeah. So we may be on our garlic press, instead of just going up and down, how many times has it been up and down in the sort of factory test? What about if you try and wring it apart? In other words, not up and down, but side to side, and does it fall apart like this? Number of defects, and again, this is the important area because this tells us whether it's statistically okay to actually pass that sample or fail it. Okay. Sample management. This section includes the comparison of products against the master sample if you have provided one. Okay, so if you've got a sample come over and you want something very specific or a specific color, or your logo has got to be on it and it's got to be in a certain way, position, color, etc. You can say, right, this one here is perfect. This is my master sample. You would then send that to the inspection company and say, right, check everything against this. This is the master sample. Okay, that's what that means. And additional photographs. No kidding, hundreds and hundreds of photographs speak volumes, I tell you. And we really do get a lot of additional photographs on all of these reports. Right, so this is basically what it looks like. This is our summary overall page. And here we've got frying pans, or a set of pots and pans, you know. So you can see down here we've got some yellow on hold. We've got past information on here. In other words, export package is okay. Production state was on hold. 57%, 100% was finished, right? But only 57% was fully packaged instead of 80%. Is that a stopper? Is that a failure? Would I hold everything on that? No, because everything needs to be packed anyway. But the important thing here is 100% has been finished. That's good. Inner packaging, hold. Why? Let's have a look. The factory used small polyfoam instead of cardboard between the two pans. The handle end is not fully wrapped in shrink film. Is that a showstopper? Well, I don't know. This is not my product, but this is something I would actually talk to the supplier about. So we'll go to the next one. Product itself. Oh, hold on. Hold. Why is the inspection company suggesting we put this on hold? The handle is not as inclined as required by the client. In other words, it's not the right angle. Is that a showstopper? I don't know. I'd have to look in more details, basically. So this is the overall summary, and the final result on that was hold. The client will take a decision. So that's us. We're the client. We would need to have a look at it in more detail with respect to what these real issues are. So the next piece of information we're looking at is extract from production status, and we can see here the ordered quantity was 4,200 sets. The lot size for inspection was 2,400. Unfinished products 0, so everything was done. We can see how many were packed and unpacked, and we've got the number of sampling, 200 pieces. So we've got 200 pieces that are being inspected out of the 4,200. Let's have a look at some of the defects. Okay, so over here, I'm going to zoom into two sections. Here, we've got our defects, inspection level 2. That's some of the statistics from the AQL you can see over here. Don't worry yourself too much about that. But this is the important aspect down here. Critical, 0. So if there's any critical issues, we don't want any. Okay, if we get one found, the whole batch can be rejected. We're not interested. Major, 2.5. We can see our tolerance down here. Acceptable, 10. Reject once there's 11 found. A minor, we can have up to 14 minor issues found, but the 15th one, we could automatically reject the whole batch. And you can see down here the number of items that have been found. We've got 0 major, we've got 4 major, 0 critical, 4 major, and 9 minor. So let's have a look at some of these minor ones. Little scratch, is that a showstopper? Well, I don't know. I don't like scratches. It's more scratches on the pan there, more scratches. So basically just scratches on the pan, as we can see here. So this section is more about the summary of the defects itself, okay? And these photographs show us in real detail with respect to what that is. Now, again, we've got here a scratch can be 1 centimeter, but no longer. And as long as you can sort of rub it off with a bit of water, you should be all right, okay? So what would you expect in your inspection report? And what if something goes wrong? That's a big question. So if you got all of these products come through, and you got the inspection report coming back and say, well, I found this problem, got that problem, got that problem. It's like you got problems all over the place, Paul, with your supplier. Your product is not good at all. Here's a simple flow chart that we put together, which will help us navigate what to do next. So basically, we've got the product inspection. Accepted by the buyer? No. All right, so let's go down the no section. Buyer lists the reasons for refusal. Well, we're going to be using the inspection report for that. Okay. Supplier, this is what we need to be negotiating with the supplier. You need to get the supplier to check 100% of the products. Okay. For each piece, is it within the buyer's standards? Well, we know what our standard is for our garlic press. It needs to be this dimension, needs to be that color, needs to be this weight. Okay. It needs to be able to function without anything coming out, falling apart. Okay. If it meets that, then it can be repacked, re-inspected, and hopefully go out the door. If it's a no, what do? Well, for each piece, can it be within the standard after it's reworked? So if it's blue, there needs to be silver. Well, can they respray it, recolor it, repaint it? Well, I guess so. Then it would be all right. So if it's okay, then it can be repacked, re-inspected, and shipped out. If it's still a no, then we need to talk to the supplier and mitigate our risk. Yeah, and tell the buyer the following instructions: short ship or reproduce, then repack. Yeah, so if I've ordered 1,000 of my garlic presses, for example, and we've found a problem, and we've got to this stage here where 200 can't be reworked, they can't do anything with them at all, I would say fine, okay, then we've got, out of my 1,000, I've got 800 that are okay. Ship the 800, I'm okay with that to start with, and then we'll make up the extra 200 on the next order. Okay, but don't forget, you're still in a power position because you still owe money. So you wouldn't pay for that full batch of 1,000, you would only pay for that 800. Okay, so this little flow chart here is just to help you through what to do if you do find any issues with your supplier. Some useful links. Okay, so there's no point in going through. This is quite a lot of detail here with respect to inspection, and needless to say, I've got some help in the background with respect to nice website, blog sites, qualityinspection.org. This is a blog site with an absolute ton of useful information for us as buyers out of China. Sofeast, that's the inspection company I do some work for. Again, they've got some information on the website that you can have a look at. And in fact, most of the material, a lot of the material that I've used today comes off of that, apart from the Alibaba stuff. We've got the inspection.alibaba. That's where you can go and find all of your inspection companies. CMC Consultant, that's a China manufacturing consultancy company. And again, that's really geared for more larger organizations. But again, they've got a blog site on there with some really useful information you can search through. And China Importal. China Importal, there's I think there's a Swedish guy, lives in Shanghai, has been out there for a number of years, and he's set up this company to help people like you and I find particular suppliers and help us through that whole process. So there you go, guys. There's 1 hour full of useful information. We've broken it down into certain sections. The important thing here is you're spending money on a product. You're building your business. This is not just like a game. It's not just a weekend thing you're just going to try. If you're taking this seriously, you really should be taking the whole thing seriously. And this is part of that. It is a serious issue with respect to getting products into Amazon, and they're wrong. That gives you more headaches, more nightmares than you can actually imagine. For the sake of $105, depending on what your product is, I would tend to spend a little bit more on something more specific, more technical, up to $300. You need to work out the price. Is it going to be worth it? Well, if you can guarantee your product's going to get there correct, then yes, for sure it is. But hopefully this has walked you through how to do it, where to find it, what to expect, and some of the terminology used when we're talking about inspection. Rob, you've been very quiet there, so I know I've been rambling on and talking quite fast. Have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think that one of the important things here is that a lot of this will depend on the amount of money that you're spending. Obviously, you can't buy a $1,000 order and spend $350 on having the product inspected. That's where these smaller type inspection things that should go on with your product can happen. And that's why I coined the phrase you spoke about, the iPhone inspection, because at some point you just can't spend the money. It doesn't justify what could happen, because all of a sudden you're changing your rate 30%. And I think in the smaller places you can get most of the problems that might occur out of the way by just looking at it. Now, again, I think the crossover number to me is around $2,000. If your order is above $2,000, you probably ought to look at spending $100 to get an inspection. If it's a complex product, You should always do it. Even if you're going to send in $1,200 to $1,500, spend the $100, because if you're looking at doing this product long term and it has, problems with it, it could endanger your account. So if it's a complex product that absolutely need to have hands on it, go ahead and spend the money. Even if it drives your cost up the first time, it's still your test product anyway. So you just, in the long run, you wouldn't add that, cost over such a small number. You would add it over a much larger number, so it won't become a problem in the future. So depending on what your product is that you're initially starting with, it's important to make some calls judgmentally what works and what might not work for you. And you're going to have to base that on some financial numbers depending on where you're at. Now, if you said, hey, listen, I've got a product, I put $1,000 in, I'm going to spend $150 on it. And it's a simple product that, probably pretty much, with this iPhone inspection, you can get it passed. I would tell you, hey, you know what, spend that $100 of marketing money, because the bottom line is if it's that simple and you don't need to have someone put their hands on it, they're outside of your supplier. Also, the trust with your supplier is going to help you out a lot with that. How is your communication with them when you're talking to them? Are they communicating back with you quickly? Are they sending you emails on time? Do they do what they say they're going to do? And then, we've also done some other videos that are inside the membership area that you can find out how you vet your Chinese supplier. So if you've went in from the front end by vetting them and making sure that they are at the location they are, that they are in business, that they, that they're gold rating and all of the things that we talked about in those videos, which really set up the inspection part of it. Because, truthfully, if you've gotten down this far and you're not with a company that you feel trust with, then there's probably a problem already. You've already drilled holes in the bottom of your boat if you've proceeded with a company that you may not feel comfortable with. And a lot of times I see people do this. I would tell you it would be better to start over, find a new product, than to go into a product that you really believed in, but there was only one supplier and they weren't good. I mean, you're just setting yourself up for the biggest failure in the world. It's that, we talk about avoiding risk. Well, if you have a bad feeling, they're not communicating with you and they're not doing that, and you just are starting your business, I promise you this will not improve. It will only decline. It is very easy to see when a company cares about what you're doing with them, their customer service is good, their salespeople are good, all of the things that you would expect in any product that your customers are expecting from you, you should expect the same thing from them, you being their customer. So the next thing would be is let's assume you are going to get an inspection. So you're going to get an inspection. Well, I'm always shocked, and again, Paul, I think we laugh about this sometimes, I was always shocked at how great these reports are. I remember the first report I got from Paul, and I was just shocked that they did that much stuff. I mean, I got a full report one time where they were in there, taking pictures of the machines, inside the machines, and how they were cleaned and underneath them. And I think they even had pictures of the bathrooms in the place for the facility. Maybe it was part of the social thing, but it was crazy how much information they had gone and gathered at this company. So, if you're spending $10,000, you need to go find a company like the Paul works with, spend $350, have them go to, think about this, you're spending $10,000, okay? Don't you want to know as much information as you could possibly know about these people you're fixing to send 3,000 and then another 7,000 after that? Yes. So $350, when you raise that over 1,000 products per se, is nothing. I don't even know what that is. Is that 3 cents a product or something like that, I think? So at 3 cents a product, on 1,000 items, why not do that? You know what I mean? Even if it was 25 cents an item, at some point it may be worth it. Now that is a little higher, depending on your numbers. But remember, the longer you do this. Now, also, here's another thing. Do not get yourself into think that the second time you buy a product, the second order, that you shouldn't do it. No. That is like a big, huge red flag. Do not stop doing inspections. Maybe 4, 5, 6, 8 times in, but guess what? People quit that company, people move on, new managers, new employees, new techniques, new services, new everything can happen. Just think, if the person who's really been handling your account, there's a key account person, they leave, or the person below them leaves, it's their assistant, and they were the person double checking things and making sure things are right. the quality inspector leaves or whatever it might be. Don't put yourself in a position where you think, oh, they did it right before, they'll do it right again. So always be getting your stuff inspected, because it just can put you in a place that you don't want to be. You're going to end up stuck with a bunch of product. It might end up getting your account suspended. There's a million bad things that can happen. So make sure that you have a thorough inspection. The higher money you get, the more intensive inspection I should think that you should get. Inspections from Alibaba. Okay, they are great. There are some amazing little companies out there, but do be a little bit cautious. Just make sure that you've read reviews. Just like anything else, if you're going on vacation, you should read at least as many reviews as you would read on booking.com when you're booking your hotel. Okay, so read some reviews about these guys, see the comments, see how long they've been doing it. The same things you do to vet a supplier, you need to vet the inspector. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they're a great inspector either. Some of them will ask them to share a report with you, what their report looks like. So read a couple of them. These are all things that will benefit you later on down the road because you've taken this time up front when you had more time to do stuff. So absolutely, Alibaba Inspection is a great place to find a big resource of inspectors, but there are lots of them. So go through, do your due diligence on your inspector as well as your supplier, everybody. And some of these guys will even do your due diligence for you, meaning, so they'll do a report as well on as the health of the company, where they're at, how long they've been in business. So they will do that for you as well. So you may not even have to do that yourself if you get down to that point. And once you find a great inspector, that's just a tool like everything else, man. You find a great technique, you find a great piece of software that works for your business. An inspector is an absolute essential part of being a successful Amazon seller. Checking into the blog, Chiang Mai Importal is a great blog, tons of stuff there. So I cannot recommend that site enough. It has just an amazing wealth of information for you. So my opinion on inspections is that they are absolutely essential and can help you beyond your expectations. Again, every time I get an inspection report or I've looked at an inspection report, I'm just amazed of what they do, because it's not this just simple thing. I thought some guy's going to get in there and roll it around in his hand and be done. No. These guys actually, and you can tell. It's just like anything that you would do. You can tell when somebody cares about what their job is, and I don't care if it's at McDonald's or whatever their job is. They just do it better, and that's the guy you're looking for, because he'll communicate with you, and you'll see him say things that give you the indication that he cares about what his job is. And that will start when you request the first email with them. Look at people's tone. How do they talk to you? What is the phrasing? Now, I know they're speaking in Chinese to you, but you could still get people's tone sometimes. Not that you can't mistake it in China, but an overall tone, I guess maybe I mean more, how do they communicate with you? How effectively do they do? Because again, if the communication's bad because of the language barrier, maybe they don't speak English well. Oh no, now you got a problem, because now your wishes and desires for what they look for may not be able to be given to them that they could understand. So be cautious of that as well. So I hope that those are some points that helped on Paul's excellent talk today. On top of that, we appreciate you, and that's my advice on inspections today.
And a very useful add-on. That's very good advice. Thanks, Rob. We've had a couple of people. I know it's been a quiet weekend, but we've had a couple of people on and watching. So thanks very much. Make sure you check back in with us.
Thank you for watching this Gorillaz Tribe training video. We know that this is going to help you avoid the biggest problems new sellers face. Now, if you want to learn more about this topic, then go ahead and watch the entire playlist so you can learn everything there is to know and avoid these big problems. The training video you just watched is taken from the Gorillaz Tribe membership area, where we host weekly live virtual classrooms where you can ask questions and get answers to the problems you may be having along your path to becoming a successful Amazon seller. Gorillaz Tribe members also have access to our step-by-step training videos that will help guide you from start to finish, and even give you the information you need to run your Amazon business after you've launched your product. Do you want to solve your #1 problem? information overload? We all know that you're 10 times more likely to succeed if you start your business in a group, so you can get the support you need to be successful. You don't have to do this alone. You can join the Gorillaz tribe for just $48 a month. You can cancel at any time, so you can get the help along the way that you need to be a successful Amazon seller. If you'd like to learn more about joining the Gorillaz tribe, or you'd like to see our brand new webinar on the 5 secret strategies to be successful in the Amazon business, go ahead and head over to our website at gorillazonline.com. That's Gorillaz with a Z online.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe right now or click that little bell so when we have new information to release, you can get those training videos. I'm Rob Fortney. Thanks for letting me help you navigate the Amazon seller's jungle.